Hello everybody, welcome to Red Tool House. Today we are going to try our hand at smoking and curing our own pork belly. So we're going to make some bacon and see how we can do that at home. Really no special equipment, just some basic ingredients, scale, a tub, refrigerator, and then eventually our smoker. So stick around, we'll see if we can do something with this. Okay, so about, when was that, Kim? That was January, wasn't it? Yeah, so around January, February, we butchered one of our hogs, Napoleon, because he was a jerk. So we butchered him and processed, put all of that in our freezer. Well, one thing I left intact were the bellies. So I've got two bellies and just had them wrapped up in freezer paper, as you can see here. And now I want to open that up and get a curing process going. And then, from what I understand, many days later, maybe a week or so later, we take it out of the fridge, out of its brine that it's soaking in, and then we'll be ready to go to smoke. So I got to open this up and get some measurements and get some weights to figure out my ingredients. I'm using a very basic ingredient or a basic recipe right now. Got it actually from the Bearded Butchers. If you've watched them on YouTube, you know that those guys know what's going on. So those are the guys that were my inspiration in this. Okay, so we have this this raw bacon here. That'll keep her moving on it. Go to shoot a video and everybody just ends on the kitchen like flies. So we'll weigh this belly real quick, and I'll cheat a little and say I've already weighed it. I think I know what it is. It should be about 12 pounds. If I can get it to stay on there flat.
Fold it in half.
Think about my belly that way. Come hold my belly, would you? Yes, 12 pounds. So what I'm using is, instead of using pink salt, I'm using celery powder. So it'll give that a little bit more of a natural nitrite, whatever, one of those. A little bit more natural, and so we're just gonna use celery powder and salt. And based upon what I understand the recipe and the ratios that we're talking about, I need 2.4 gallons of water, 3/4 ounces of the cure, and 2.4 pounds of salt. And then we'll get all that put together here. I gotta trim this up a little bit, clean it up. It's a little rough in some places. Although I hate to waste any belly, but they say you gotta trim it up to make it look nice. All right, so now I've got it in a little over 2 gallons of water, or 2.4 pounds of salt, I believe, and then our 3/4 ounces of the celery powder, the 506, vegetable stable 506 is what it's called. And put this little glass Pyrex jar on there to kind of weigh it down. May have to put another one there to hold it down. Now, as typical things I do, I underestimated the amount of water for my lug. So the trick is I have to carry this all the way to the garage without spilling this all over the floor. Kelly's going to really appreciate if I string pork belly cure water all over the kitchen and into the foyer and all that. So we'll see what we can do. It's my understanding we'll leave this for a minimum of 8 days, as many as 10 to 12 to 14 days. So we got nothing but time. So we'll put it in there. And the next time you guys see me, we'll be taking it out and throwing it on the smoker. All right, so if I was a little bit better at butchering, obviously, I'd have a much more consistent thickness on my pork belly, and it undulates. So that's why we'll go longer. It's my understanding it's about a 1/4 inch of penetration per day of that cure. So I want to make sure it gets penetrated all the way through before we take it out. So this is our refrigerator in the garage. We're going to let it hang out here for about 2 weeks and see how it goes. All right, y'all, fast forward 14 days later. It's time to take that bacon out of the refrigerator, get it prepped, and get it on the smoker. I'm going to get the smoker going first, and then we'll show you what we're taking out of the fridge. Now, I have to confess something. I promised when I first started this YouTube channel about, what, 4 or 5 years ago, that no matter how tough things got, no matter how tight things were, that I was not going to take this video camera out and start shooting topless footage. But times is hard, and it's hotter than the gates of Havana right now, so I apologize for the toplessness. And yes, you're probably saying the same thing I am. There ain't nobody needs to be this white, but I kind of feel like Mr. Goodbody. You guys remember him from the early 80s? The cat that wore the spandex suit that you could see all of his organs. That's kind of what I feel like. I'm so white that I'm almost transparent. So I kind of feel like that dude, except I didn't have the killer fro he has. All right, so I digress. Let's get the smoker going. Now, I'm not sponsored by this smoker company. This is what is this? This is a char griller. Yeah, so this is a char griller. And I don't think I've detailed anything on this. This is a gravity feed charcoal feeder, not a smoker, not a pellet. And I'm using lump charcoal. I'm not using charcoal briquettes because all the funky stuff they put in it. So we use charcoal. So literally chunks of charcoal like this. And you can buy those, which I have so far. And I'm in the process of getting the components I need to be able to make my own charcoal. Obviously, we have tons and tons of wood laying around here that we're cutting, so it would be a shame not to make my own instead of buying like a 7-pound bag for 15 bucks. Seems ridiculous. But what I'm going to do, I went up in the woods and I cut off just a chunk of hickory, green, just cut the leaves off of it, and I'm going to slice it up into little pellets, little puck size, and I'm going to sprinkle that in with the charcoal, lump coal as well. And as that burns, of course, that's going to give me some extra floksmaver. And that floksmaver is going to be great for the bacon. You just can't stop talking about floksmaver. But no, the hickory is going to add that flavor as it smokes up. So we'll make sure we throw that in there. Okay, so the way this turkey works is it's all about airflow, right? So this is a gravity feed, so the hopper is going to drop down. So the combustion's actually taking place right in here, right at the top of this. Pull this damper out completely when you're going to burn, and that allows the smoke and the heat to go into the chamber, the smoke chamber. This, of course, is where all the action happens. And then here around back, you've got a damper door. So we leave it all the way open for now, and then we can choke it down once we start getting some smoke rolling to get some more smoke flavor in it. Now this is a digital version, so you've got a little control here plugged into the wall outlet, And what allows us to do is maintain temperature. It uses a fan right here. In fact, when we're ready to burn, we open the fan door. So there's a fan. And based upon the temperature of the chamber here, it'll determine whether it turns the fan on or not to get that temperature up to the ideal temperature you want. Now we're going to smoke this. I'm going to try 185. Let's see how long that takes. Maybe go as much as 200. And depending on the size of depending on just how much this heats up the pork, we'll see if this could be a 4 to 6 hour burn. The verdict's still out on whether I'm 100% sold on this. Obviously the technical side of it, I was scared I wouldn't be able to figure out how to get the temperature regulated on a regular drop smoker, and the real professional ones that don't have all this little bells and whistles. They're thousands and thousands of dollars, so I wasn't going to spend that much. But I've gotten to the point where I at least know how to do this without burning the house down or setting my food on fire. So I think we've got enough experience to do this and do this right. So let me get some fire lit here, and I'll show you how we regulate temperature. All right, so for fire, we're just going to use a fire starter, and this is a food grade fire starter, which I found out most of them that you buy are. And of course, who's determining what's food grade or not, right? So it goes in the top here, top of the combustion area, the bottom of the chamber. We put some match to it. Alrighty, looks like she's gonna burn. Now what I've learned is you only want to open this up for just maybe 30 seconds to get that chimney effect to go on there, because you don't want all this burning. This is your resource, your backup fuel as you need it. But that's why this has a rubber gasket around it and locks down, because it keeps air from passing up through. So I'm just going to let that stay up for about 30 seconds to really get that going. And then we'll close that down. Come over here, we'll turn the unit on. It tells me that it's open. No kidding. Yeah, so we got a good burn there. Just have to do with one hand. Go ahead and close that down. All right, so now we're going to set our temperature. Looks like we're going to do 200 because that's as low as I can go. Shows you what I know. All right, so that's the temperature reading internally, and my camera really likes that. So that's 118 degrees Fahrenheit, 19. And you can see the little fan button light on there maybe. So that fan, of course, is now drawing air up through the combustion into here, and it's climbing up. So what it does, it regulates the temperature only by turning the fan on and off. And there's a little damper, like a flap, silicone flap in there, that when the fan's blowing, of course, it's like this, so it lets air in. When the fan's not blowing, it shuts down. So that's really the only mechanics to this, is just airflow regulation. And then, of course, you got meat probes, so we're going to get the meat probes in it, in the meat, of course, when the time comes, and that'll be able to track internal temperature. And this thing's Bluetooth and Wi-Fi enabled as well, so it talks to my phone and tells me, hey, so if I'm sitting there on the couch eating Cheez-Its and watching TV, then I know I've got good smoke going on. At least that's the plan, right? Oh, looky there. Looks nice and murky. Still submerged underwater from our little glass pieces. I'm gonna pull some of the water off and get it out. All right, so the main slab of bacon, this is just plain Jane. I just want to see what the basic flavor is going to be. So I'm going to put my probe in that. And then I've got some other cutoffs that I didn't want to waste. Where'd my face go? That I didn't want to waste, and we'll flavor those differently and put those on as well. But I'll get the probe in this one because it'll take the longest. All right, so we got plain Jane, and we got 3 other big chunks and 1 little tiny cutoff. Just fresh cracked peppercorn, ground pepper and rosemary, maple syrup, front and back, and then I did a little maple syrup on that one as well. So I've got the meat probe in this one and this one in the main one. This main probe is set on the brain here, so it'll give me a warning on my phone when it reaches 150. And then I've got this other one laying here that I can just check on regularly. It's not as smart as the other one. And that's checking that. So I'll go a couple hours and I'll come check on it and see where we are. All right, so it's been a little over 2 hours. I've got internal meat temp of the big slab of pork belly at 141. The smaller slab is 145, which makes sense. It would be a little hotter since it's smaller. But let's take a look. Let's pop the hood and see what we got. Oh, snap. Woo! Tell me that don't look like bacon right there. All right, so Kelly totally came out, and the first thing she said, she didn't say, hey, it really smells like delicious bacon out here. The first thing she says is like, did you really clean the grill grates right on the driveway again? So evidently, I'm going to have to fix that. Let me take the pressure sprayer and fix that real quick. Well, I think that's much better. Totally unnoticeable. Now when I go to spray anything else off in the future, I have a small area to work in. That way I don't continue to raise the ire. All right, internal temperature's been met. So let's see what we got. Oh. Yeah, let's see if I can pick this up without dropping it on the ground. That would be a great tragedy, wouldn't it? Ouch! All right, so the interesting thing about shutting this grill down is you simply just do that. You just shut it down. So we're going to close the damper here. We're going to close the fan box here. I'm going to slide this damper in. Shut that off. And turn the power off so she doesn't blow the fan. All right, so got the bacon here. I put it in the freezer for about an hour just to give it a little firmness so it'd be a little easier to slice since it was pretty hot. And I'm going to fry up a little bit as tests, but then we're also going to, thought it would be a great time to do BLTs. So we're going to cut some, and we like to put bacon in the oven usually to cook it. So we'll try our different ones here. Ooh, look at that. Well, nobody has bathed today, so nobody wants to be on camera, so we'll just have to have, oh, camera stop, busted. So we'll just have to have audio reactions, I guess, bunch of losers. I've tasted it already, it's really good. All right, so this is just, this is like a maple syrup bacon. This is ground pepper and rosemary. And then this is just a little bit of pepper, so it'd be the closest to the normal. Pretty good, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody else want to try
What was that one again?
That was the cracked pepper and rosemary. I swear, I think that slicer is older than I am. I can remember my mom having it when I was a little kid. That's who it belongs to. So the thing we're discovering is that Napoleon was a pretty lean pig. So that's the thing we're running into, is there's not as much marbling in it. Now we've cut into the main slab, the main belly, and we're finding a little bit more marbling. These cutoffs, of course, were further out and had a little bit more muscle in them. So that's really what we're just trying to find. You can see here just a little bit of marbling, but not the streaks of fat and meat that you would expect to see in store-bought bacon. So we're gonna keep playing with it and see what we can come up with.